I don't think I'm alone when I say that I'm really excited about the Batman movie that's going to be coming out at some point in the foreseeable future. And guys, DC Comics fans all over the world, I think, are really anticipating this movie. There's, of course, been some speculation. Some people are concerned about this upcoming continuation of the Batman. But with that being said, I want to talk about everything we know so far about it. We can kind of get our thoughts, and I would love to hear your thoughts about the movie in the comment section below. So in an article, guys, that was written by Rick Marshall of Digital Trends, DC Comics' Dark Knight has a long and successful history in films and television, and now he's poised to return to the big screen in The Batman, the upcoming solo feature directed and written by Dawn of the Planet of the Apes filmmaker Matt Reeves. Development has been slow on the project, but cameras are finally rolling on the film, and now we have our first peek at Batman's new look and, of course, the Batmobile. So, look, guys, at this point in time, I've been critical about certain things regarding this film, that being most notably, I would say Robert Pattinson being the Batman. I just couldn't really see it at first, but all in all, I'm interested to see this take on the Batman without a doubt. And I think at this point, guys, it just, for DC, in my opinion, I've always been more of a DC Comics fan than that of a Marvel fan, but when it comes to the movies, Marvel has easily just completely outpaced DC in a number of ways when it comes to the cinematic universe, at least. And so with this movie, I think that there's a lot of pressure, not only on Matt Reeves, but Robert Pattinson, this entire crew, to make this a very special, beginning, or I guess re-beginning of course, the very iconic figure, that being the Batman. And so this movie, as far as the release date is concerned, is June 25th, 2021. Now look, guys, it's hard to say if they're going to be able to stick to that because of the pandemic going on in the world right now. So kind of take that with a pinch of salt. A lot of other movies are being pushed back to other dates and such. So there's a possibility, guys, that this is actually going to get pushed back at some point or another, because at this point, I think production is pretty much halted. The Batman will be the character's first solo feature since the conclusion of Christopher Nolan's acclaimed Dark Knight trilogy, and is scheduled to hit theaters in June of 2021. Robert Pattinson takes over the role of the Dark Knight, and a number of other well-known faces will play some of Gotham's most prominent citizens. So Christopher Nolan's trilogy, guys, I think was incredible. It was probably, in my opinion, the best stretch, really, for DC as far as the cinematic universe is concerned. But really, I think that they should have taken that and they should have run with it. At the end of The Dark Knight Rises, they should have continued onwards into the role of Robin, really taking Joseph Gordon-Levitt, making him the face of the DC, extended universe, and really taking this to another level, in my opinion. They should have taken the success of Christopher Nolan's first 3 Batman movies and kind of ran with it, but they didn't. And so now we're kind of in this different predicament at this point, where the Batman's coming out. Was supposed to be Ben Affleck as Batman, obviously, who I think, in my opinion, was the best Batman to date, even though he was in 2 pretty mediocre to very subpar movies, in my personal opinion, that being, of course, Justice League and Batman versus Superman. So his, tenure as Batman was pretty short-lived, and it was really unfortunate that that was the case. However, what I will say, guys, is that they got a pretty stellar cast. And Matt Reeves, I trust him as a director. Now, do I think he's as good as Christopher Nolan? No, but he could maybe get to that point if he does a really good job with this movie, and I'd see, his continued filmmaking career. Now, of course, guys, the cast, you got Robert Pattinson, Joe Manganiello, Colin Farrell, Jeremy Irons, Zoe Kravitz, and Jeffrey Wright, amongst a number of other cast members as well, which we'll talk about here shortly. But production's been halted, so amid concerns surrounding of course, the pandemic, production of the Batman has been halted. The film had been shooting in the UK for 7 weeks before shutting down. It's unknown when production will resume or whether the halt will affect the June 25, 2021 release date, which I believe it absolutely will, guys. Now, as far as some of the images that we've seen, I'm not going to lie, the Batmobile, I loved the Tumbler in Christopher Nolan's movies. I think that was really cool, but I'm excited to see this new take on the Batmobile. I think it looks actually really cool. It looks like something out of Cyberpunk 2077, or just looks like a futuristic, type of vehicle that you might see in Blade Runner or something. So I think it looks really good, and I'm excited to see this this take on not only the Batman, but also the Batmobile and other gear that he may have throughout the course of the movie. Now, the version of the iconic Batmobile making its debut in The Batman looks to be a more grounded spin on the car than previous films have offered, looking more like a souped-up muscle car than the military transport or futuristic jet car of past films. Now, there's been other images that have been taken, guys, and really quick regarding the Batmobile. Like I said, I like this take, and I think that even if we don't like it as much as, say, previous versions of it, I still think that we're going to respect that they tried something a little bit different. Now, as far as some of the other still images that have come out of the Batman and what his gear looks like, his suit and such, I think the suit looks okay. I'm not really big on the mask, but maybe, for this particular scene, he has obviously multiple masks and different types of headgear and such. But I think that overall, his armor looks pretty sick. It's just more so the head and the where, of course, like the eyes, that kind of looks a little bit, I don't know, it just doesn't look 100% great in my opinion, but we'll of course have to see, when you've got visual effects and things like that, what it really starts to look like. Now, of course, as far as the first look of the movie, guys, Matt Reeves shared the first look at Pattinson as Batman in a brief video, and the footage features Pattinson in costume bathed in infrared light, his face hidden by the Batman's cowl. The supporting cast, guys, obviously, like I was mentioning, something that's also pretty awesome is some of the other cast members. So Warner Brothers Pictures released the official cast list for the Batman in January of 2020, confirming the characters that will be played by each of the film's supporting cast members. As initially reported by The Wrap, Andy Serkis will play Bruce Wayne's butler and confidant, Alfred Pennyworth. Although Serkis is best known for his performance capture work, including a memorable portrayal of the ape revolutionary Caesar in the most recent Planet of the Apes trilogy, he has delivered some celebrated on-camera performances in recent years, including a memorable supporting role in Marvel Studios' Black Panther. Reeves directed Serkis in the final two Planet of the Apes films. Now, Andy Serkis, guys, it needs no introduction whatsoever. As far as what I think of him playing Alfred Pennyworth, I think I would have rather had Andy Serkis play one of the villains because I think he plays such a good villain, but it'll be interesting. Let's put it that way. I think him playing Alfred or really any character, I'm definitely intrigued and interested to see that. I just think he would have played like a really good Riddler, really good Penguin, or a different villain, obviously, in my opinion, but I'm still excited nonetheless about that casting. Now, after a September 2019 report in Variety indicated that Jonah Hill was in talks for a secret role in The Batman, the two-time Oscar nominee backed out of the project a month later. No reason was given for Hill's exit, but the report indicated that he was in talks to play either Riddler or Penguin in the film. Reeves eventually found his replacement, though, with Colin Farrell, now confirmed to play Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. And so, do I like this casting? I mean, I love Colin Farrell. I think he's a really good actor as well. How he's going to portray the Penguin, it's hard to say. I actually think, guys, he would have played a pretty good Alfred, and then, it would have been interesting to see Andy Serkis play as the Penguin. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I'm sure they know what they're doing, guys. I would assume that they know what they're doing. I'm hoping that they've learned from, like, the failures of Justice League, the failures from, of course, Batman vs. Superman. Even though those movies did really well at the box office, just the critical reception was very negative around those movies. So I'm hoping that they kind of learned from some of those things. And all in all, guys, I want them to take their time with the Batman. Like, just take your time. If you can't make the June 25th release date of 2021, that's okay. Just let it be and continue, like working on it and obviously make it as good as possible. All right. And that's really at the end of the day, all I really ask for is just take your time, make a great, try to make as good of a film as you possibly can. And I think, everything else, the fans will kind of decipher the rest of it. Joining Farrell in Batman's Notorious Rogues Gallery will be Paul Dano, star of Little Miss Sunshine, There Will Be Blood and Escape at Dannemora. Dano will portray Edward Nashton, the brilliant villain known as the Riddler. And I love this casting, Paul Dano. I think that you can definitely tell in some of his films, he says kind of plays some twisted roles, and so I think that him as the Riddler is actually going to be something pretty special. I think he's going to be definitely one of the characters that you'll want to keep an eye on. In October 2019, X-Men First Class and Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald actress Zoe Kravitz was cast as Selina Kyle in The Batman. As fans of The Dark Knight know all too well, Selina is the civilian alter ego of Catwoman, the notorious Gotham burglar who has been an ally, enemy, and romantic partner of Batman over the years. I love this casting as well. Robert Pattinson's Batman will also have a key ally in the film. Westworld actor Jeffrey Wright will play Gotham Police Department's James Gordon in The Batman. This is a great casting. I'm super excited to see, of course, Jeffrey Wright. Very well known in Westworld, guys, and I thought that his role in that was very, very well done, and I'm excited to see what his take on James Gordon is in The Batman. Joining the aforementioned cast will be Peter Sarsgaard as Gotham District Attorney Gil Colson, John Turturro as mob boss Carmen Falcone, and Jamie Lawson as Gotham City mayoral candidate Bella Real. This will be Sarsgaard's second turn in a film based on a DC Comics hero after portraying Hector Hammond, the villain of 2011's Green Lantern. So I mean, guys, overall, the casting, they're spot on. They've got such a stellar cast, in my opinion. That's why I think that this has the potential to be something very special. I just am, like I say, guys, it's really come down to, in my opinion, with the DC cinematic universe, there's just been a number of things that have happened up to this point that they're trying too hard to be Marvel. They've been trying to kind of, in a way in which they've been trying to kind of take shortcuts, so to speak. Whereas in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they kind of were building it over time, slowly and gradually. Whereas with, of course, what Warner Brothers is doing, they were trying to kind of, take a lot of cuts and turns, and they were very much so trying to, instead of kind of building to something, they just threw Justice League out there. They just are throwing out some of these movies, and sure, they're doing well at the box office, but if you just build it over time and really start building something special, we see what happened with Marvel and just how special that cinematic universe is and is continuing to be. So I think if they kind of build off of what they should have done was build off Christopher Nolan, but obviously that's neither here nor there. So if they build off of the Batman and continue moving forward, like this next Suicide Squad, of course, Wonder Woman, and they keep on moving forward, they can build this thing out. It's never too late, but just, I think it comes down to taking your time, and, I think that Justice League was too rushed. I think that Batman vs. Superman was too, something that was too rushed as well, and the marketing was just not that good for those movies either, in my personal opinion. So just take your time. At the end of the day, take your time. Don't try to do too much. Just kind of go one step at a time, and the Batman hopefully will be the real step in the right direction for this franchise. At this point, it's unknown if Joe Manganiello will appear as the mercenary Deathstroke in the film, having been confirmed as the film's villain back in 2016 when Ben Affleck was still attached as director and star of the film. Manganiello's Deathstroke appeared in a post-credit scene during Justice League in which he was seen meeting with Lex Luthor to discuss forming a league of villains. So, obviously, this would be interesting if he's actually going to be playing as Deathstroke. I don't know, see, that's what's interesting about this, guys, is are they taking things from Justice League? Are they or are they just starting their whole new thing with Matt Reeves? Is Matt Reeves starting a whole nother, new kind of venture here? Are they going to have nothing to do with these other movies like Justice League and Batman vs. Superman or Suicide Squad? It's hard to say how they're going to go about doing this. I feel like it should just start fresh once again. That would be my personal opinion, is to kind of just start fresh with the Batman and move forward from there. Build everything around the Batman. Even though I still don't know what I think of Robert Pattinson as the Batman, nonetheless, at the end of the day, build from this movie. Build off of the Batman, take your time, try to make a great movie, and build off of that. So I think that with Justice League, guys, I mean, obviously, could they come back to that at some point or another? Sure, maybe, but I think that they really need to start with this, and I think that Deathstroke, having him in this, it doesn't make, in my opinion, wouldn't make a lot of sense as far as putting him in there, because then it's kind of stating that you're kind of continuing based off of Justice League, whereas you have Ben Affleck, who's not even going to be as the Batman. So I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I think they just need to start fresh, in my personal opinion. Now, Reeves indicated in January 2019 that the movie will feature Batman's rogues gallery in one form or another, so there's a possibility Manganiello could play a surprise role in the film. It was a long and tumultuous development and pre-production period, but cameras officially began rolling on the Batman on January 27th. And so he took Matt Reeves, that is, took a picture, of course, of, the slate showing that the official, the filming had officially started for the Batman. There was a lot of hype around it, too. Now, the star, after more than a year of uncertainty in the casting department, Deadline reported in May 2019 that Twilight franchise star Pattinson had entered negotiations to play Bruce Wayne and his vigilante alter ego. The deal will reportedly encompass a trilogy of films featuring Pattinson as Batman. So this is what I'm getting at, guys, is that, okay, so they're planning on a trilogy around Pattinson. So that's why I'm saying building off of this movie, The Batman, okay? And start building off of that and continuing forward the DC cinematic universe. Even though, guys, I don't know what I think about Pattinson. At first, I did not like the casting at all because I just didn't like his character in the Twilight movies. I didn't like, I didn't think that he was actually a very good actor in my personal opinion. I just didn't think he was a good actor in the Twilight movies. And I know that's where he got his fame and all of that. Can he play a good Batman? It's hard to say. We're going to have to wait and see, and we'll be able to kind of judge it as it is. Because, we're all going to be comparing what Pattinson, his Batman, to other Batman, additions. That being like Ben Affleck as Batman, or, George Clooney, and of course Christian Bale. You're going to be comparing all of them. And so that's what we did when Ben Affleck was, the Batman. And I thought that he was the best Batman, in my opinion. I thought he had the look, he had the voice, he had just everything about Ben Affleck. Like, it was like, yeah, that guy is the Batman. So is Robert Pattinson the Batman? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, we're going to have to see how he does in this film. Maybe he's going to surprise all of us in a major way. Maybe Matt Reeves and Warner Bros., they see something in Pattinson. They're saying, look, this guy isn't the same guy who made those Twilight movies. He's a better actor now. He's going to be a gritty, or maybe just like a darker Batman, potentially. It's hard to say. Earlier that month, Variety reported Pattinson was the leading contender for the role, but a subsequent report published by Deadline indicated that the deal with Pattinson wasn't finalized and that Mad Max Fury Road actor and X-Men franchise star Nicholas Hoult was also in the mix. Hoult plays blue-furred scientist Hank McCoy in the X-Men films, and I don't know if I would have liked Hoult as Batman either. It's hard to say. Despite portraying Batman in each of the films in which the character has appeared so far in the DC Extended Universe franchise, Ben Affleck won't play Bruce Wayne in The Batman, which, look, guys, there was a lot of, speculation and talks about what happened there, like Ben Affleck not playing as the Batman anymore. Like I said, it was really unfortunate, and I wish that he would have played as the solo Batman, but I think, guys, that his tenure as the Batman, he, not that he didn't have, the things that he needed to make the Batman successful. I just think that it actually affected him personally. It was just one of those things, playing one of these characters. He just didn't think it was good for, his personal life and just, his work life and all of that. That's probably partially it. And the other thing is, guys, the thing I love about Matt Reeves doing this is a new take. And I love Zack Snyder. I think he was amazing with the 300 movie. I thought 300 was incredible. He's had a number of other movies that I've really enjoyed. But I gotta say, I just didn't like Zack Snyder in the DC Cinematic Universe. I think that, he, in my opinion, he isn't one of the Russo brothers. He isn't, some of these other guys who are, directors in this space that have done a really good job. I would have liked to see him do something smaller, not quite the stature of like Batman versus Superman or Justice League, because I think that he would have done a much, better job, or like, I just think that he would have done better as a director of, like, say, Aquaman, for example. And James Wan should have been that guy doing the, Justice League and doing some, even Batman versus Superman. I think James Wan would have done a better job, in my personal opinion. I just think James Wan overall is a better filmmaker than Zack Snyder. But Zack Snyder has done some really great, epic, movies. I think part of why Ben Affleck is no longer the Batman, part of it might be, the directing and the direction that they've taken some of these characters in Justice League as well as Batman vs. Superman. The expected release date for the Batman has been uncertain or frequently pushed back for most of the project's development, but the studio finally put it on the release calendar in late January 2019. Warner Brothers Pictures is set June 25th, 2021 as the official premiere for The Batman. A few days before the studio's announcement, Reeves offered a hint as to when he expects the movie to hit theaters. We haven't been dated. I wouldn't commit to this, but we're thinking the movie would probably be for 2021 late spring or summer. Warner Brothers has been incredibly supportive and given me a lot of time and shared the same passion that I do for the story. So, look, like I said, Matt Reeves, I'm excited for this new vision for the Batman. I think it's gonna be great. You wanna know what would be awesome though, is I would love to see Christopher Nolan come back. Obviously, he's not going to, guys. He already did 3 of the movies. But I think, other than Christopher Nolan, someone who I think I definitely trust to take the reins here is someone like Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves did a great job, in my opinion, with, of course, the Planet of the Apes, that trilogy, with the Rise of the Planet of the Apes and all of those. I think he did a really good job with kind of handling those in such a great way, and the direction I loved. And so that's why I'm excited to see this continuation of this iconic figure. The one thing, though, is I hope Warner Brothers doesn't try to come in and just try to take a lot of those creative freedoms and trying to point him in a specific direction. Give him the creative control, because we saw what happened when you don't give him the creative control, as in the form of Batman vs. Superman as well as Justice League. There become some issues, right? And I know Justice League, there were other issues because Zack Snyder had to leave the project, of course, and then you had Joss Whedon come in, and there were problems right there, not giving Joss Whedon much time, which I think was a complete disservice to what Joss Whedon had done in the past. But nonetheless, give the man some time. Like the Aquaman and Wonder Woman solo movies, the Batman is expected to focus on DC Comics' famous Dark Knight while unfolding within, but perhaps less directly connected to, the studio's DC Comics cinematic universe. Reeves has described the story he's developing as noir-driven, with Batman investigating a particular case that takes us out into the world of Gotham. It's more Batman in his detective mode than we've seen in the films, Reeves told The Hollywood Reporter in January. The comics have a history of that. He's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and that's not necessarily been a part of what the movies have been. I'd love this to be one where we go on that journey of tracking down the criminals and trying to solve a crime. I love it. It's just a new direction. Now, the problems. First announced in 2014, the project that would eventually become the Batman initially had Affleck attached to direct, produce, co-write, and star in the film, sharing script duties with longtime DC Comics author and DC Films co-chairman Jeff Johns. All seemed well and good with the project until the first reactions to Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, in which Affleck made his debut as Batman, began trickling in. Affleck's experience with the notoriously ill-received Batman vs. Superman, which resulted in the interview that spawned the sad Affleck meme, appeared to sour his relationship with the solo feature, and he announced his exit from the director's chair in January 2017. Matt Reeves was named the new director of the film a month later. So look, I've always said this. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice was, there was so much hype around it, and it was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen in any comic book adaptation. It was easily the biggest disappointment. And then Justice League, there was a lot of hype there, but a lot of us were already kind of keeping our emotions and all of that out of it. We wanted to go into it kind of with an open mind, but we also were thinking to ourselves, is this going to be kind of like Batman versus Superman? We're going to get our hopes up and then it's going to just be crushed. And once again, I don't think it was as bad as Batman vs. Superman, but it just wasn't good, guys, in my opinion. So obviously Affleck, looking at this, it's like, well, why am I gonna spend all this time directing, producing, co-writing, as well as starring in it? In my opinion, though, guys, he should have been directing from the beginning. He should have directed Batman vs. Superman. Him or like James Wan should have been directing Batman vs. Superman. And then he should have been directing Justice League. He should have been directing the Batman. Because I think the Batman would be incredible as Ben Affleck. We know him as an incredible director as well as an actor, a writer and such. It's just too bad that we're not going to be able to see that. The troubles weren't over for the Batman, though, as a report was published a week later indicating that Affleck could be on his way out as Bruce Wayne, and the studio was looking for a way to usher out Affleck's Batman gracefully. That report was published on the second day of 2017 San Diego Comic-Con, prompting Affleck to address it during Warner Bros. Pictures movie panel 2 days later. "Let me be very clear, I'm the luckiest guy in the world," said Affleck when asked about the report during the show's Justice League panel. "Batman is the coolest part in any universe, DC, Marvel. It's incredible. I'm so thrilled to do it. I know there was a misconception that because I didn't direct it that I wasn't enthusiastic about it, but it's effing amazing," he continued, "and I still can't believe I've done 2 films and have this great history with this studio." After a long period of uncertainty regarding his attachment to the film, Affleck finally made it official in late January 2019 by confirming a report that the studio was looking to cast a new actor in the film's lead role. So, look, guys, it obviously had its issues, right? I mean, there's been issues, but all in all, I'm very excited for the Batman. I really am. Matt Reeves, obviously, I'm intrigued about Robert Pattinson, even though I would much rather be Ben Affleck, but let's give him a chance. Let's see how it goes. And the rest of the cast is a stellar cast. Looks like a new direction for Batman completely that we've never seen on the big screen before. Let's just give him time. Please, Warner Brothers, just give them time. Let them, kind of have their creative vision, and let's just see what they can really do as a studio, as just as kind of restarting, revamping the DC cinematic universe. But this is pretty much everything that we know so far about the Batman, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What are you the most excited about? Let me know. And for more The Batman content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.